We have been married for 33 years. I am a 55-year-old male, and my wife is also 55. We have 2 children and 2 grandchildren. We have a strong bond of affection for them. We met at a nightclub in the 1980s, where I was employed as a bouncer. We went on a date and, 2 months later, moved in together. 2 years later, we married. We enjoyed a fulfilling life, engaging in work, leisure, and child-rearing. I transitioned from a highly active job to a less demanding one. I also experienced a significant weight gain, to the extent that I was unable to engage in sexual intercourse due to asthma. We explored various strategies to enhance our sexual intimacy, maintaining monogamy throughout. I had been previously cheated on, so infidelity was a non-negotiable issue for us. I transitioned from an active job to a more sedate one, and as a result, I gained a significant amount of weight. This led to difficulties in engaging in sexual intercourse, as I would frequently experience an asthma attack. We attempted various strategies to enhance our sexual experience, while maintaining monogamy. Prior experiences of infidelity led us to prioritize exclusivity in our relationship. We deeply loved each other. After 33 years of marriage, it was evident that our relationship was becoming less passionate. Despite this, I continued to love her. After 2 decades of a lackluster physical relationship, I made the decision to lose weight. Over the course of 2 years, I lost 176 pounds and underwent a tummy tuck. I am aware that this decision may appear superficial, but there were 3 primary reasons for it. The first was to improve my health, the second was to enhance my appearance, and the third was to rekindle our physical intimacy. To see my grandchildren grow up is a source of immense joy for me. Additionally, I sought to improve my health and rekindle our sex life. I am pleased to report that I achieved these goals. For the past 2 years, my wife and I have engaged in sexual intercourse approximately 3 or 4 times per week. She has expressed great enjoyment during these encounters. I am aware of this because her body does not lie. Consequently, we are now in a position where we can fully enjoy our lives together. She maintains that she is still in love with me, and I am equally convinced that I still love her. I have never been unfaithful to her, and I am equally certain that she has never been unfaithful to me. It is simply one of those things. That was until 3 days ago, when she went on a holiday with her 2 sisters and set off from our home on the interstate. I had no objection to this, as I trusted her implicitly, but she was fully aware of my feelings. Infidelity was considered a non-negotiable issue in our relationship, even after 33 years. We had a transparent relationship, with access to each other's whereabouts through mobile applications. This was not due to a lack of trust but rather a matter of personal safety. Both individuals had access to their messages and could verify the other's whereabouts. The issue of trust was never a concern when I lost weight and began to appear more attractive. I did receive more attention from women, but I consistently dismissed it, maintaining that I was happily married. My wife occasionally commented that she felt a bit insecure now that I was being found attractive by others, but I never viewed this as a cause for concern. I love her unconditionally, regardless of her physical appearance. I express my affection and admiration for her on a daily basis, emphasizing her beauty and the exceptional quality of our sexual relationship. I am remorseful for not pursuing our relationship with greater fervor at an earlier stage. Upon concluding my work duties, I received a telephone call from my wife. She was visibly distressed and inquired about my sister-in-law. My wife informed me that her sister had engaged in sexual intercourse with another man. I was taken aback by this revelation and experienced a profound sense of shock and emotional distress. I sat in my vehicle, rendered motionless and emotionally detached, as my wife proceeded to recount the details of the incident. She explained that her sister and the other man had consumed alcohol together, and that they continued to do so until 2 a.m. Furthermore, her sisters had already departed for their room. The bar had closed, and she informed me that she was severely intoxicated. She accompanied the couple to their room to continue consuming alcohol and engaging in conversation. Both individuals were exceedingly complimentary, repeatedly stating that my wife was sexually attractive and that her husband was fortunate to be with her. The man then initiated physical contact with her, and she encouraged them both. They informed her that no one would be aware of their actions and urged her to enjoy it. She felt as though it was not her actions but those of the husband. The wife observed the incident in the morning when she woke up and discovered herself in bed with both of them asleep. She returned to her room, where her sister caught her. The sister relayed everything that had transpired to me. The wife informed me of these events while on the phone and expressed remorse. She was inconsolable and repeatedly stated that she hated herself, that she had made a terrible mistake, and that she loved me. I informed her that her actions were unacceptable. She made a mistake, she made a decision. I then terminated the call and turned off my phone. I returned home and attempted to process the situation. I grieved the loss of my wife as I knew her and the years we had spent together. I also grieved the loss of our future together and the impact her decision would have on our family. My life as I had known it was over. I had isolated myself for the last 2 days, but then I turned my phone back on. As might have been expected, there were hundreds of messages from she and her sisters, the last of whom was that she is on her way home. My children have also attempted to contact me, as their mother was calling them to ascertain whether I was well and if they had heard from me. I contacted my children and informed them of the situation and that I was as stable as could be expected. However, I will be leaving the residence to address my personal matters before she arrives. I requested that they not disclose my whereabouts, but I needed to process the dissolution of my marriage. I have recently sent a text message to my soon-to-be ex-wife. My wife informed me of our impending divorce, and I requested that she cease all communication. I am indifferent to the specifics of the dissolution and no longer care about her. The pain is overwhelming. I had not anticipated that our love could be so swiftly and completely destroyed. I apologize for the rambling nature of this update. My thoughts are racing in multiple directions, and I find it challenging to focus on a single topic. It should be noted that the aforementioned bedroom was not entirely devoid of activity, however, in comparison to the preceding 2 years, it appeared to be so. My primary occupation at the time was in the military, where I sustained injuries during a training exercise, resulting in a transition to a desk job, subsequent medical discharge, and the establishment of a small business venture with my wife. Prior to communicating with my wife, I had engaged in extensive discussions with my sister. Initiating communication with my wife, I informed her of my decision to terminate our marriage. My wife's account differed from the one she initially provided. My children were distressed about the situation and sought to offer me support. I informed them that although they might be angry with their mother, she remained their mother and the grandmother of their children. I emphasized that despite her actions, which had negatively impacted our marriage, she still loved them. My wife and her sisters did indeed curtail their holiday and returned home. I left a note for my wife, instructing her to return and stay with her mother. My wife's account of the incident was not entirely accurate. She confessed under the threat of being exposed, yet she did not tell the truth. This was not unexpected. My wife broke down and told her sister everything. I was unsure of what to believe until I sat down with my wife. She told her sister that she loved me and our marriage. She never expected to do this. She blames our active sex life over the last 2 years for her actions. She felt this way. The reason for her infidelity was that she had always been the more attractive partner in the relationship, but now she believed the roles were reversed. She was unfaithful and needed to be wanted by someone else. She maintains that it was the first time, but she did plan it. It was a fantasy she acted on. She was seeking sexual gratification and was never going to tell me. Unbeknownst to her sisters, the couple she met were customers of ours in another state. I have not met them, but my wife spoke with them frequently by telephone. My wife went for drinks to meet up with them, but her sisters were away, so she feigned ignorance of their identities until they departed. While she did consume alcohol, she was not inebriated to the point of incapacitation. All 3 individuals had orchestrated this plan prior to their departure. My wife is scheduled to arrive this afternoon for a discussion. She is visibly distraught about the impending developments. I have already determined my course of action. She elected to engage in infidelity, and the ramifications will be felt by all parties involved. However, the truth about her infidelity is more distressing to me. It strengthens my resolve. I did not engage in infidelity. I did not compel her to lie. Her sentiments regarding my departure and the dissolution of our marriage are accurate, and it is irrelevant how unhappy she is, she is responsible for her actions. We must now all adjust to this new reality. Our marriage has ended, and we must navigate our changed lives. Update number 2, I spoke with my wife yesterday. After so many years together, we both realized that we do not sleep well without the other person beside us. This has been the case for decades. Last night was the first night that I had a good night's sleep without her. She came home and walked through the door. She looked terrible, tired, guilty, scared, and red-eyed. My heart would break, and I would attempt to console her, but I was unable to do so on this occasion. I was seated at the table when she began to weep once more and rushed to embrace me, expressing remorse and other sentiments. I gestured for her to refrain from touching me and to sit down, which she did. I inquired if she would like a coffee, as I was preparing one, and she accepted. I proceeded to brew the coffee and returned to the table. Her gaze remained fixed on me. She began to speak, but I instructed her to be silent and to respond to my inquiries. I emphasized that the issue was not about her but about me and the state of our marriage. I informed her that, at this juncture, our relationship was irretrievably compromised. She had made her decision, and it was now incumbent upon me to make mine. I had already made my choice, but I was determined to elicit at least a modicum of truth from her. I reasoned that if she believed she still had a chance, she would be at least somewhat forthcoming. I informed her that I had spoken with her sister, which was true, and that I had spoken with the couple, which was not. However, she was unaware that I had experienced a peculiar array of emotions, a sense of elation at her distress, a bittersweet sadness for our future, and a complex array of other sentiments, including disappointment, anger, and a host of others. The subject displayed typical emotional responses, yet maintained composure, which the observer perceived as the most disturbing aspect of the situation. The observer likened the experience to a job interview. The subject was asked to quantify the number of instances, which she replied with 1 or 2 occurrences during video chat. The observer then requested an explanation of the sequence of events. The subject proceeded to narrate how the situation unfolded, stating that the initial exchange of business-related discourse had gradually transitioned into flirtatious interactions. She then disclosed that, after the wife expressed consent and became involved over a period of several months, the subject's attention shifted towards observing the couple engaging in sexual intercourse. The subject revealed that this had been a long-standing fantasy of hers, which the other 2 parties had endorsed. She also disclosed that, during this period, she had become emotionally invested in the situation and was experiencing distress. She knew it was dangerous, which made it more exciting for her. She began to tell me that she felt insecure, but before she could continue, I informed her that I did not want to hear her excuses and justifications. I had to wait approximately 5 minutes until she was able to collect herself. I even got up and she stated that they had met as arranged and that, after her sister had left the bar, they proceeded directly to the couple's room. I inquired as to whether she ever intended to inform me of her actions. She replied in the negative, indicating that her actions were merely a fantasy that she believed she could fulfill without engaging in further infidelity. I proceeded to contact her by telephone to inquire as to whether she stated that she had engaged in infidelity over the past 33 years, and I informed her that the number of instances was irrelevant. Regardless of whether it was a single occurrence or 1,000, the outcome would be the same. The only individuals who would be adversely affected by her dishonesty are our children and her relationship with them, as well as our grandchildren. I conveyed to her that I did not believe her. It is important to note that, at this juncture, it is not essential to ascertain her veracity. She began to recognize that I was not inclined to address the issue of her infidelity. She implored me to salvage our marriage, suggesting that she was willing to do anything to facilitate this. She even proposed that I engage in extramarital relationships if I remained in the marriage. She guaranteed that she would never again engage in infidelity. I advised her to consider her own words. She had already demeaned herself sufficiently. I would never engage in infidelity within the context of marriage. Should I do so, it would signify a separation with no possibility of reconciliation. This was not a scenario I was willing to entertain. She attempted to grasp my hand, but I informed her I would never touch her again. It is not my intention to pass judgment on anyone's lifestyle, it is their own business. I recognize that people engage in various forms of intimate relationships, including open marriages. However, in this case, the trust and respect that were essential to our relationship were irreparably damaged when she chose to engage in sexual intercourse with another man. I have always been a pragmatic man, and I just felt relief. I informed her that we would make this as easy on us as we could. She interpreted this as hope for our relationship, but I informed her that we were done. I will never touch you again, and I meant it. I could never forget that she was another man, and the woman I loved and married is now dead to me. She died when you not only were another man but planned for it. The good memories we have will remain: the holidays, building our first home together, having and bringing up our children, and all the laughs in life we faced together. We are now going to have separate lives. I am eager to see what the future holds, and I do not anticipate including you in that future. When I do meet another woman, I hope to start new memories with her and to find love again. She was visibly distressed when I told her this, but I was not dissuaded. I simply wanted this woman out of my house. I was unable to continue the discussion, so I proceeded to the shed and contacted my children by telephone while she regained her composure. I informed them of the situation and they expressed their support, urging me to conclude the matter promptly. I returned to the residence and as soon as I entered, she initiated further discussion. After expressing regret and suggesting that they could potentially salvage the relationship, I proceeded to outline a plan for the dissolution of our marriage. I informed her that we would sell the house and business and split all assets equally, 50-50ths. I would retain the car, while she would take the truck and my motorcycle. I then instructed her to refrain from contacting me via phone, text messages, or any other means of communication. I requested that she refrain from contacting me, except in matters pertaining to the children or grandchildren. I intend to initiate the divorce proceedings and will consult with the attorneys. She is at liberty to pursue relationships with other individuals, as she is now a free woman. She asserted that she did not wish to involve anyone else and that I was being deliberately cruel and inconsiderate. In response, I stated that I was being honest and that her actions had caused emotional distress. I also asserted that she was solely responsible for the breakdown of our marriage. I informed her that I was being truthful and that her actions had caused me to experience an emotional void. I stated that she was solely responsible for the dissolution of our marriage and that I had loved her unconditionally. I then left the house, allowing her time to process the situation and take further action. I proceeded to my daughter's residence, where I remained for several hours engaged in conversation and leisure activities with my granddaughter. Upon my return, I discovered that she had departed. As previously stated, I experienced the most restorative night's sleep without her. Update number 3. It has been 5 tumultuous weeks since the dissolution of my marriage. My wife's actions have resulted in the dissolution of our marriage. I have had an opportunity to reflect on my decision, and I am convinced that it was the correct one. I am unable to trust her again and am unwilling to have any further contact with her. I am repulsed even by the thought of her. She was the one who initiated the affair and the subsequent destruction of our marriage, motivated by the belief that she could avoid consequences. She remains in the house with her mother while I prepare it for sale. We have lived in this house for 2 decades, so the process of selling it is a significant undertaking. A considerable amount of work needed to be done and items needed to be cleared out, but I completed it and we listed the property for sale. There are a couple of interested buyers, so I am optimistic that it will be sold within the next week or 2. The business has already been sold, thankfully. One of our clients wanted to expand, and I accepted the offer last week. The settlement will take place in about a month. It is often said that divorce is a challenging process, but in my experience, the legal requirements in my area are particularly onerous. In order to file for divorce, you have to be separated for 12 months and 1 day. In the case of divorce, the process can take up to 4 months, assuming the divorce is uncontested and the property settlement is a separate issue. The latter is not finalized until the divorce is complete. It is my intention to dispose of our joint possessions without any further involvement in their settlement. As long as she continues to sign the sales contracts, it will facilitate my transition. However, her perspective differs from mine. My son has only spoken to her once, and it was not a pleasant conversation. My children are now adults with children of their own. I informed him that it would take time, but that she is still his mother and was a good one. He was advised not to allow her decision to destroy a relationship with her. My daughter, on the other hand, has been talking to her throughout. She is ashamed of what her mother did, but has been supporting her through the breakup. My daughter is a very honest person who tells it like it is and is giving her mother the warts and all repercussions of what she did. The wife, however, is deluded enough to believe that I will simply get over it and forgive her. She seems to think that all the years we have been together will be enough to make me change my mind. When she came over to sign the real estate contract, she told me that I would change my mind, that I still love her, and that she would be a better wife when I do. She also said that we would still grow old together and have a wonderful life. I attempted to rekindle the marriage, believing that we would both eventually overcome our respective transgressions. I was taken aback by her audacity. She had committed a grave infidelity, engaging in sexual intercourse with another man while her husband was still alive. Furthermore, she had become pregnant by that man. I was incredulous. How could I possibly desire to resume a relationship with her? She expressed remorse, acknowledging that she had acted against her better judgment. However, I was not convinced. I informed her that her actions were regrettable and that I did not wish to hear her justification for them. I made it clear that I had no intention of reconciling with her and that I was prepared to move on with my life without her. I believe that she is in a state of severe denial about the situation and that she has lost all control over my actions. Consequently, I no longer consider her actions to be my responsibility. A loving marriage is contingent upon the actions of its members. Prior to her actions, the wife was aware of the potential consequences. Consequently, she is now experiencing a sense of naivety regarding the reality of the situation. It is notable that I am currently receiving attention from other women. However, I am not currently interested in pursuing any romantic or sexual relationships with them. Nevertheless, it is reassuring to know that when I do, I will have numerous options. The wife expressed displeasure at the woman who had visited and brought me dinner, stating that she wanted me to get it out of my system. She indicated that she would be waiting. It is unclear what the wife's expectations are, but it is evident that she is seeking to hasten the process of moving on from this situation. The emotions that I am still experiencing, including hatred, disgust, and sadness, are significant factors in my recovery. The emotions of loss, betrayal, and sadness are present, yet I am a resilient individual and will overcome these challenges. My current objective is to disentangle myself financially from my wife and move forward with my life. The final update on the sale of the family home and the business, after splitting everything equally with the soon-to-be ex-wife, is forthcoming. My wife and I have purchased 2 small units in close proximity to my grandchildren. My son and daughter currently reside in different states with their respective partners and children. I have done this to obtain my own space while maintaining proximity for visits. I am still employed, having accepted a position with a previous business competitor. The time I have allotted to this pursuit still affords me a considerable amount of leisure time, which I am now utilizing to reacquaint myself with the pleasures of life. There were a few weeks when I had no scheduled activities, so I embarked on a cycling excursion, with no particular destination in mind. I made occasional stops for coffee and sightseeing, and I also frequented local pubs in the evenings, enjoying a few drinks before returning home. The following day, I was surprised to find that I enjoyed the casual relationships I had with women. Over the course of 2 weeks, I had sex with a couple of women with no expectations other than physical pleasure and enjoyment. I was surprised by how well I was feeling. Some people have asked me if I ever contacted the couple that my wife cheated with. I have no desire to do so, as I do not see any need to do so. My soon-to-be ex-wife was the one with whom my wife had an affair. The decision to engage in extramarital relations was hers, not theirs. I have no desire to interact with them. They hold no significance in my life. In fact, the most effective response to a partner who has been unfaithful is to maintain a detached attitude and focus on one's own life. While one may still reflect on the incident, life continues. It is essential to prioritize one's own well-being. My wife is apparently still deluded and believes that once I calm down and become accustomed to not having her around, I will take her back. I have informed her in no uncertain terms that our marriage is over and that there is no possibility of reconciliation. Furthermore, I have told her that I no longer care about her actions or her choices, and that they have no bearing on my life. Similarly, I have made it clear that my actions are no longer influenced by her, and that she is no longer a factor in my life. My daughter informed me that her mother is still in a state of denial and is experiencing profound sadness and embarrassment about her actions. She is attempting to persuade me to reconsider accepting her back into my life. I have informed my daughter that this is highly unlikely to occur, as her distress is primarily a result of being discovered and exposed. I have also conveyed that my decision to terminate the relationship has had a positive impact on my outlook and expectations for the future.